Howdy folks, this is Amol Vaidya, also known as Big Edie on certain parts of the internet. Last couple of days we have been working on the rare words package, which is a package that is meant to search your Emacs buffer for rare words and highlight them. And today we're going to continue that. So far we have started with a list of rare words, which I will show you here in a second. So if we look at df.head, which is already up there, this is sort of the data set we found online. And the goal was to use these words here and have them be, so let me go back a little bit. What this data set represents is the most frequently used words in the English language. The lemmas are sort of the root words, and the inflections are different forms of that word can take, different conjugations of verbs, plurals, past tenses, so on, things like that. So the idea was to look at this list and use this list as to make a definition of common words, and then everything else would be a rare word. So what we did was we took a dictionary of all the words in the English language, which we also found online. It also had a bunch of different inflections of those words, and we combined it with this list. And we ended up with a SQLite database where what it did was it takes basically a word as an input, and it tells you the rank of the word in terms of frequency. So the most frequent word in the English language is be, which you see as number 1 up there. That's also in the SQLite database, and it should have everything, that all the inflections, as ranked number 1 as well. So if we go to our SQLite database, what we can do is actually see that in action. We will open words.db, and we'll go up here. We'll make this our Python buffer so we can see what the actual data set was, and we will test out this this database that we've created. And so just to make sure that we have it set up correct, if we look at the table we created in there, which we call dictionary, we can limit it to a particular word and see what comes back. And what we get is the word and its rank. So B in number 1. So that looks correct. If we try for the word, and, which is number 5 up here, as one of the inflections, we get number 5. If we look at, let's just look at something further down the list, number 400 to 405. Let's see if we actually get, so fall looks like a good one. Let's just try fall. If we look at fall, we get 392. It's not exactly what we have up there because it's ranked 401 in the data set. And the reason that it's not matching is because we did some processing to the data set. So the issue was that a lemma may be found in the data set multiple times because it can take it can have multiple different roles in a sentence. So it can be a verb, it can be a noun, and each one of those lemmas was listed separately in the initial data set. So that's the reason that we have a little bit of processing done on that data. And what we did was we took all the lemmas, we combined how frequently they were used, and we ranked them that way. So we took every instance of that lemma, we took this frequency field that it had, and we added it up to come up with our own ranking. And it should be pretty close to what's in the initial data set, but it's not going to be exact. But 392 is fairly close. I'm pretty happy. I believe it's working. And hey, Glenn, and hey, I assume you're Cow 2001 from System Crafters. So how's everyone doing? Nice to see y'all here. Thanks for joining. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start creating the actual package that's going to go through an Emacs buffer or region, either one, and it is going to use overlays to mark sort of the rare words. And so we're going to start building that now. So I'm going to start a rare-words.el file. And I think the first thing we will do is we're just going to define a customization group. And you guys are all system crafters. I assume you guys all know what a customization group is, but just in case anybody else sees this in the future, a customization group is, so in Emacs, you have this customization menu, which you can bring up this way, and it allows you to set different aspects of the editor through this sort of not exactly graphical interface, but you don't have to do it through Elisp. So this is a way that Emacs allows you to sort of change its internal state. And defining a customization group sort of allows you to group all of your customizable variables that show up on that interface, to kind of just group them all together. So we'll start by defining a group, and we'll just call it rare words. And let me make sure that that's the right way to do it. So symbol members, members should be an A list where name is a symbol and widget is a widget. Useful widgets are customized variable. So I'm not really sure what this members, not really sure what members is supposed to be. I'm assuming I can leave it as nil because it says declare symbol as a customization group containing members, and I think we can add the members later. So I'm just going to try to leave it as nil, and we'll write a little documentation string for it. And this is in fundamental mode, so let me change it to Emacs Lisp mode. So now we get proper indentation and everything. So we'll just write, I don't know, customization group for rare-words.el, or how about we make it for the rare words package. And then we can say, we can start by a couple of customizable variables. What I want to do here is allow the user to define what they want to consider a rare word. So maybe he wants the top 1,000 words to be considered common, and everything after that to be rare. Or maybe you want, I think the list that we had with the most frequent words had about 4,500 words or so. We can actually check that in our SQLite database. So we can say select count star. So all this is going to do is pull the total number of rows in this database. Actually, you know what we want to do? We don't want to count star because it's going to have a row associated with each inflection. And what we really want is the maximum rank that it can have. So let's just do max rank from dictionary. Let's see what we get. Oh, so 999. So we don't want 999 because that is sort of our default value, where if a word isn't part of our frequent word list, but it's still part of our dictionary, it's going to end up being that value. So we don't want that. We want select max rank from dictionary, where rank is not equal to that. And so 4,510, the maximum ranking we could have is 4,510. And so the user should be able to set his cutoff for rare words anywhere from the top 10 words being common and everything else being rare, and all the way up to 4,510. And so in order to do that, we will have a def custom. So this defines a custom variable, which will show up on that interface we looked at earlier. We'll call it rare words common word cutoff. And I'm going to give it a default value of 2,500. And you know what? I think what I'm going to do is, instead of just having having it being broken down into rare words and common words, I'm going to add a third category. I'm going to say semi-common words. So we'll do like, so a word could either be classified as common, semi-common, or rare. And then we might also have like an unknown category because we have that dictionary that we're matching against, but it's conceivable that someone types in a gibberish word or a word that's a name or something like that, and we want to have a separate category for that as well. So we'll probably classify each string or each alphabetical string in our buffer as one of those 4 different categories. So we'll define a couple of different custom variables here. We'll do rare words, common words cut off. So anything below this will be considered common, and everything above this will be considered semi-common up to a threshold, after which it'll be rare. So we'll start off with a default value of 2500. The doc string, next thing we need, I think, is a doc string. Get def custom here just to make sure. Yeah, so the standard is an expression specifying the variable standard value. I think 2500 is good enough. Is evaluated once by def custom, and the value is assigned a symbol if the variable is unbound. The expression itself is also stored so that customize can reevaluate later to get that standard value. Doc is the variable's documentation. So let's do let's say the number of most frequently used words considered common. And I think there's a way you can sort of limit it. The remaining arguments of def custom should have the form keyword value type. The value should be a widget type for editing the symbol's value. Every def custom should specify a value for this keyword. See info node Elisp customization types for a list of base types and useful composite types. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so type can be string. What about integer? Okay, so the value must be an integer. Can I have it like limited? Is there a way I can limit it to one of basically in a range? Like a range? No. Simple types. What about composite types? When none of the simple types is appropriate, you can use composite types. Let's see here. The section describes all simple types. Integer, the value must be an integer. What about number? So sort of just looking for a way to limit the values that it can take as an integer. I'm pretty sure we can do that. I've seen it done. I just don't remember how. Okay. Well, maybe right now we just leave it as integer, or maybe right now we leave it as nat num, and we can come back to this. Let's look at the composite types real quick. Key type, the value must be a list of const cells. Their range? No. Max? Minimum? No. Let's look at type keywords here. You can specify keyword argument pairs in a customization type after the symbol. Okay, provide a default value, format string, anything that says range, maximum, minimum, no. Okay, let's just call it integer for now. Or nat num, we said nat num. And we'll close that. We'll do the same thing for, we'll call it rare words semi-common word cutoff. And that's going to be 4510. So everything in that list of the most frequently used words that we have, we're going to consider those either common or semi-common. and everything else rare. So we'll say the number of most frequently used words considered. I don't know. I think this is kind of confusingly phrased. Let's try the number of most frequently used words considered common. Let's say all number. Whoops. All numbers up to. Sorry. All words ranked this value or below are considered common. And then we'll say all words ranked below this value, but above, I think it's this rare words, common word cutoff. Yeah. All words ranked below this value, but above rare words, common word cutoff are considered semi-common. Nat num again. And then we will create a customizable variable towards the dictionary. So in case the user wants to provide their own SQLite database that has their own version of the dictionary, they can do that. We will say def custom rare words dictionary. And how do we do the current file? I want to look for the rare words dictionary basically in the directory of the Elisp file that we're working in. I think there's a command for that. Load file. It's load file something. Load file. Load file name, maybe? No. Is there a variable called load file name? Yeah, there it is. Load file name. Full name of the file being loaded by load. Does that mean? Yeah, I think that would mean this one. I don't know. We'll try it, and if we need to, I'll look it up on my own time, and if we need to, we can change it. How do we actually give it the file name? Though based on this directory, there is a expand file name function. So convert file name to absolute and canonicalize it. So second arg default directory is directory to start with if name is relative. Is directory to start with if name is relative. Both the directory name and a directory's file name are accepted. If default directory is nil or missing, the current buffer's value of default directory is used. Okay, I'm just going to assume that that is the directory that I want to start at. So we'll say words.db and expand. Sorry. I need to expand file name here. And the default directory was going to be file name directory. I think we said load file name. So what this load file name directory does is it just gives you the directory portion of the path. And so if we evaluate it, no. Wrong type argument, string p no. Why? Eval s expression. Okay. File name directory is nil. Or load file name is nil. Huh, why is load file? Oh. Say rare-words.el. What about now? Still nil. Well, okay, the file isn't actually being loaded, but when it's loaded, I assume it'll work. If not, we can say, we'll just give it a default value. We'll say or load file name. What buffer file name? Is that a thing? Yeah. So we'll say one of those. And so just in case someone's confused by this sort of syntax, what the or does is it sort of short circuits at the first value that's non-nil. So it'll look at load file name. If that's nil, it'll go to buffer file name. And if that's nil, it'll just return nil. But if one of those is true, it stops there, it stops execution there, and returns that value. So I think we're good up to here. Let's sort of eval buffer chunk in args nil. That's not a word, something I want to see. What does that even mean? Has anyone seen that before? Junk in args nil? Yeah. That true up here too? Okay, hold on. Let's go to here, rare words. Junk in args %s, custom declare variable, rare words, common word cutoff. Oh, I forgot. This needs to be type. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. All right. So now that we have the rare word dictionary, I think we can also make a user definable face or user customizable face for rare words and semi-common words. So we will add that. So we will say def custom rare words semi-common word face. And we will give it a default value of, just do warning and error. I mean, those are pretty different, probably in most themes. So I think that's good enough as a default value. And we'll say the face associated with the face semi-common words will be highlighted by. And let's make sure that actually evaluates. It does. We probably also want to give it a type, and I will make sure to add that keyword there. And we'll say I think face was one of the types we could give. Let me make sure that that was the case. Simple types, face there. Yeah, face is one we can give. So we will copy this, and we'll do the same thing for actually, no, the face, I think this is going to be the face. No, that's right. Okay, sorry. Rare words, we'll say rare word face, and we'll make that error. And the face rare words will be highlighted by a period at the end. I think you're supposed to put a period at the end. I don't remember some of the documentation rules are kind of enigmatic to me still. I'll have to go back and read the Elisp manual at some point to make sure that I'm getting the documentation strings right before we submit to MELPA. And yeah, Glenneth, I agree. That was a really enigmatic error message. I had no idea what that meant, but I'm glad we got it figured out. Okay, what do we want to do at this point? I think another variable I would like to have is, since we're going to be using overlays for this, I would like to have an overlay list associated with each buffer that will basically just hold a list of all the overlays that we've created, so we can kind of remove it very easily. So we'll say def var, since this is not going to be a customizable variable, this is another way to define variables in Elisp, and we'll say rare words. We'll use the 2 hyphens, which is the sort of the it's not really a rule, but it's just kind of convention for like an internal package only variable. So like the user could definitely still access this variable, but the understanding is that anything with 2 hyphens is going to be an internal variable and not a user facing variable. So we'll say def var rare words overlay list, and we will make that nil to begin with. I think def var follows the same rules as def custom, but let's just make sure. We will say def var symbol optional init value and doc string. Okay, so nil I think is what we want, and the doc string is just going to be a list of overlays in the list of overlays associated with the rare words package for this buffer. And that reminds me, what I really want is I don't want def var because, okay, so in Emacs we have this concept of a buffer local variable, where what buffer local variables do is that instead of, so Emacs has, let me back up a little bit. So most variables in Emacs are global, right? So they can be accessed from every buffer, and they have the same variable no matter where you access them from. They have the same value no matter where you access them from. But if you use a buffer local variable, you'll actually get a variable that is whose values are going to be unique per buffer. So every buffer will have its own variable called rare words overlay list, and it'll be non-interacting with the same variable for a different buffer, if that makes sense. So the way to do that is actually def var local, and that's going to give us a buffer local variable here. And after that, we can continue. And I think the way I'm going to search for words is I'm going to use this research forward function that we have. And the reason is, so if we look at overlays, let's look at the documentation for overlays real quick. We'll look at overlays. So no, not overlay types. Look for overlays. And so you can use overlays to alter the appearance of a buffer's text on the screen for the sake of presentation features. An overlay is an object that belongs to a particular buffer and has a specified beginning and end. It also has properties that you can examine and set. These affect the display of the text within the overlaid portion of the buffer. Editing the text of the buffer adjusts the beginning and end of each overlay. So, okay, all that's not so important, but if we look at managing overlays, there's this function that says make overlay, and this is how you actually create an overlay. And what it needs, like the basic information you need, is a start position and an end position. And so if you use the research forward function, it actually gives you that. So search forward, the research forward function, what it does is it searches forward from point for a particular regular expression. It sets the point to the end of the occurrence and returns the point. The optional second argument bound is a buffer position that bounds the search. Okay, the match found must not end after that position. A value of nil means search to the end of the accessible portion of the buffer. The optional third argument, no error, indicates how errors are handled when the search fails. If it is nil or omitted, emit an error. If it is t, simply return nil and do nothing. If it is neither nil nor t, move the limit of search and return nil. Fourth argument is count, is a number that indicates the search direction and the number of occurrences to search for. If it is positive, search forward for count successive occurrences. If it is negative, the value of nil means the same as 1. Okay. Search case sensitivity is determined by the value of the variable case fold search. See also the functions match beginning, match end. Okay, so this is what I really want. So once we use this research forward, there is going to be this match beginning function, which we can use, and it returns the position of start of text matched by last search. And match end is going to do the same thing. So that makes that gives us a really easy way to define excuse me, a really easy way to define the beginning and end of our overlay. So I will be using that function, the research for, to look for our words. And I think I want to look for all basically alphabetical words on containing alphabets and maybe apostrophes. I don't think I want anything else included as the definition of a word. So I'm going to also make how we define a word a customizable variable. And since it's going to be customizable, I'll go ahead and put it up top. We'll say def custom rare words search forward regex. And we'll just make that A through Z apostrophe plus. So if you guys aren't familiar with regular expressions, anyone watching, then what this regular expression says is match any character that is either capital A through Z or lowercase a through Z or an apostrophe and match it one or more times. So anything that matches that character pattern is going to constitute a match for our search. So that's what we're going to use. And again, we're going to put a documentation string. So what do you want to say? Regular expression used to define what a word is for the purpose of the rare words package. I want to end my string, and I want to make sure here that this is a valid string. I know that Emacs has like an indent paragraph, something like that. Paragraph, fill paragraph, maybe it is. Yeah, okay, so fill paragraph will take a documentation string and put it in the right format as far as the length of a line and indentation and all that. So I'm just going to use that. I knew that was a long line, so I thought that may be a thing there. We'll do that again here. Try it up here. And I think that's it. Okay. So what else do we need? Okay, let's write a function that gets rid of all the overlays we have. And so in order to do that, what we want is, let's look at that overlay documentation again. Make overlay, is there a way to kill an overlay? Delete overlay. And so we say the overlay name. Okay, that seems fairly easy. So we'll say we'll define a function here and we'll call it rare words kill overlays. And we'll call it nil or empty argument list. And we will say do list. We will say, just say O for overlay. I don't want to run into the same issue again. I don't think it would be an issue with that. Like I run into this issue a lot less in Elisp than I do with Python, but I don't want to accidentally run into an issue where like I'm using a keyword and I'm not supposed to. So I'm just going to call it O, and then we'll say the list where it comes from, which is our what do we call it? Rare words overlay list. And then we'll say, I think it's as simple as saying, what was it again? It was delete overlay. Okay, so we'll just do delete overlay O. And I think that's all we need. No, of course I did something wrong. Wrong number of arguments. Where do I have the wrong number of arguments? Oh, probably that should be that. There we go. Okay. Let's just test this out. Open up this REPL, and we will look at rare words overlay list. It should be nil, or maybe we haven't defined it yet. Now it should be nil. Good. And we'll make sure we evaluate this function and try that. We'll try to set rare words overlay list to something specifically here. Doesn't really matter what it is. Make sure that it is that, and then let's see if rare words kill overlays actually kills that. So rare words. Oh, no, we can't just delete overlay. We need to do we need to remove the overlay from the list as well. I think we can just use pop, right? Like pop just removes it. And actually, you know what? We can say set q rare words overlay list to cutter rare words overlay list. I think that'll work. So let's look at what cutter does here. I mean, so if you have a list, right? Like we'll just use this as an example. You have a list and you use this cutter function. It just looks at the it takes off the first element of the list and returns the rest. So yeah, so what we're doing here is once we delete the overlay, we also want to get rid of it from our rare words overlay list. I don't know if this is like the idiomatic Lisp way to do it. You guys are free to correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I think this will work. Of course, that means we can't just use A, B, C, D, E for our overlay list because those aren't actual overlays, and I don't know what delete overlay is going to do on that. So let's just do set q rare words overlay list in nil to make sure we're actually adding overlays. And let's look at how we add an overlay. We'll say make overlay. Start. We'll just say 0 and 5 for 1. We'll say push to rare words overlay list. That should make 1. Let's just make sure. Okay, we have 1 overlay in there. We'll just make another one to make sure it actually loops over. We'll do that from 10 all the way down to wherever the point is, the current cursor is. We'll add a second overlay. Let's make sure that's there too. And okay, it is. We have 2 overlays in there that we can see. So let's try to kill the overlays now. Rare words kill overlays. And let's look at our rare words overlay list now. Why does it do that? Confused by that. No, I don't even think we need to do this. Let's do this a little bit differently. We'll kill this, and at the end of this, we'll just say set q rare words overlay list to nil. And I think that should do what we want. So we will go ahead and evaluate this for now, just to make this nil. Okay, so that didn't make it nil. It's annoying. Oh, I need to do it in this buffer because it is a buffer local variable. Set q rare words overlay list to nil. Okay, that should have done it. Okay. And then I think there's a way to look at all the overlays active in a buffer. Maybe. I'm looking for a way to find all the overlays in a buffer. Whoops, too far. Finding overlays. Overlay add, overlay in. This function returns a list of overlays that overlap the region beginning through end. Okay, so let's try that. We'll do overlays in point min and point max. So this is going to search the whole buffer for overlays. So it still has those two overlays. Okay, so let's do this. Let's try and get rid of those. So let's do list overlays in point min, point max. We'll call that O. And we'll say delete overlay. Oh, is that the right one? I think that's right. And let's do it. And let's look at overlays in again. Okay, still have those overlays, and I'm confused as to why. Any ideas? Anyone watching? If you know what's going on here, please do shout it out, because I'm a little confused as to why overlays still exist. Can we do message format as O? Let's look at this for real quick. Huh. So it's saying O is nil. Or it's not, wait, it's not. Okay, I need to look at the message buffer. Let's look at the messages buffer to see. Okay. Let's try that again. It does have an overlay there. And I'm not sure I understand why. Now it only has one overlay. So it just returns it twice. Hmm. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening here. If I go to the scratch buffer, are there like any automatically? Are there any automatic overlays that Emacs always has? Point min, point max. Look at that. What do we get? Huh. There's two overlays in the scratch buffer too. That's interesting. So you look at the message buffer at the bottom. I guess maybe there's just two overlays always in. So maybe it is working. Maybe what we're looking at is just like some kind of default overlays that are always in a buffer. I don't know. That's something I'll have to confirm. But let's go back to what we're doing and kind of put aside this sideline here. So going back to our rare-words.el package, I can't see why this wouldn't work. So I'm going to assume that it does. Yeah, I'm going to assume that this simply works. And if it doesn't, I guess we'll see it when we actually start running the package. So, okay, now that we have that function, we will create a function that goes out to our SQLite database and gets our gets the rank of a word, right? So we will say define rare word. Oh, I need to add documentation string. Since we will be submitting this to MELPA, I'll add documentation string everywhere. So deletes the overlay list, deletes the buffer local overlay list associated with the rare words package. Again, this is a little bit long. So we'll go here and say fill paragraph. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll work. We'll see in a little bit, I guess. All right, rare words. Looking to make a function that goes out to the SQLite database and gets the rank of a word. So rare words get word frequency, and we'll go to database. And I think probably what we want to do is, instead of going out and hitting that database one word at a time, which I feel like I don't know how it works internally exactly. Like, does that mean that we have to go load the SQLite database from the hard drive each and every time? Like, I'm kind of worried that would be what would happen. And so I think instead of looking at one word at a time, what we'll do is look at all the words at once. And so instead of looking at a single word, yeah, let's go for wordless. And since the database is already given, we'll just say wordless. We don't need to take the database as an argument. We'll just take the word list. So at some point, we're going to need to go make a list of all the words in the buffer. But for now, I think we will just create this function, and it will go out to the SQLite database. And let's look at how to work with SQLite databases at this point. I've done it before, and I know it's not that hard, but SQL interacting with a SQL database. Okay, so Emacs can be compiled with built-in support for accessing SQLite databases. This section describes the facilities. So SQLite open. This function opens file as a SQLite database file. If file doesn't exist, a new database will be created and stored in that file. If file is omitted or nil, a new in-memory database is created instead. The return value is a database object that can be used as the argument to most of the subsequent functions described below. Okay, so rare words get word frequency. We'll start by opening the database. We'll say SQLite open, and how do we do this? we will go out and open the is it expand file name? Oh, no, sorry, we don't even need that expand file name. We already have the rare words dictionary here, right? Rare words dictionary. So SQLite open rare words dictionary. That's going to open our SQLite database, and let's just see if we can run a really simple query on it and see what we get back. How do I execute a statement? So execute DB statement and optional values. Execute the SQL statement. For instance, SQLite execute insert into foo values bar and 2. What if I want to select? Can I select? So, okay, there's a SQLite select function. So SQLite select DB select star from foo where key equals 2. Okay. So I need to have a database object. So we'll say let DB be this object. And we will say SQLite select DB. And we'll just make a simple query. We'll say select star from dictionary, because dictionary is the name of the table in the database. So we'll say select star from dictionary where word is in word list. And so let's just give that a try. We'll go back to the REPL and we'll say rare words get word frequency. And we will say, I don't know, maybe we can make up words. We'll say, what were we looking at earlier? We were looking at B. We'll look at I. What was that other one that we looked at early? Back to E shell up here. Fall. For the fall. Let's see what we get back. Symbols value as variable is void. Okay. Must have made a typo somewhere. Rare words dictionary. Oh, probably never evaluated that function. Okay, wrong number of arguments. Where's the wrong number of arguments? Okay. All of that works. Oh, because I never put a, okay. I have to put a, anytime I have a def custom, I have to have a documentation string, and I forgot to put that there. So I need to add that. Christian Tietze says, good morning. As a minor mode, this could keep the DB open even. Yeah. But like maybe we don't. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go, because if you need to run it every single time, maybe you just open it. But I don't know. I don't know that I want to make it a minor mode. I think the way I was planning to do this was just giving the user two interactive functions. One is find rare words, and the other is remove overlays. And so that was sort of the way I was envisioning it. But if I do it that way, I do think I need to have find rare words opened the database every time. I'm not sure that it's I'm not sure that it was not sure it's going to be that computationally expensive if it's just one time that it's going to open it for multiple words. I don't think the user will probably notice it too badly, but we can always change it up if it doesn't seem to work well. And yeah, famous last words. It's not that hard. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see. Okay, let's see. What do we want the documentation string to be here? We will say, and by the way, thank you for being here, Christian. It's nice to see you. I think I recognize you either from Mastodon or System Crafters. I can't remember where it is. I've seen you around, but I know I've seen you around. So thanks for being here. Um, so what do we want the documentation to be? We'll say the SQLite database where we find the rankings for common words. Okay. Let's try this again. SQL logic error, no such table. Word. What am I doing? Yeah, that was dumb. I know you're not supposed to use format strings, but just bear with me for a second here. Um, I vaguely recall that in WAL mode, SQLite can be smart about multiple read-write accesses, whereas opening on the fly can produce the odd Visi error. Thanks for the tip. I will definitely look into that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll look. I mean, I think if that becomes, I mean, I want to do this right. So if it's something that we could improve on, I'll definitely look. I'm just not sure at the moment how to do that, and I probably I don't know how much fun it is to actually read documentation, just sit here and read documentation on SQLite on stream. So I might do that in my off time between now and the next stream, and then get back to you guys if we need to change that up. Okay, one more time. SQL logic error near I. Ah, right. Needs to be in parentheses. And oh, I suppose it needs to actually be separated. So, okay, all right. We're going to do this a little bit differently. It's not going to be a word list for now. It's just going to be a single word just to make sure it works. Whoops. Need to close the string. No such table B. Okay, I'm confused. Select star from dictionary where word is in. Here we go. SQLite select. So, okay. What if I do it this way? Where word equals B. Okay. So if I actually put it in, it does work. Let's try another one. We'll say fall. Okay, yeah. So it's working how we expect it to. It's just that we are not splicing those in correctly. And so I think maybe instead of doing it this way, where like we look for a particular word list, where we structure the select query so that it is in the word list, maybe we create a temporary table with the word list, and then we do an inner join on the on the dictionary table. And I think that may be a better way to do it. That way, we don't run into issues like our string being too long or using too many words to pull in and causing the SQL query to error off. Yeah, I think probably we want to do it that way. We'll put the word list into a temporary table, and after that, we'll go ahead and join. So okay, let's say SQLite execute. I think that was what it was. We'll go back to SQLite here. Okay, let's do SQLite execute. Sorry, was trying to figure out how to do that. So SQLite execute, I think we can just write an insert statement. Or actually, first we need to do create temp table, and we'll say buffer words, buff words, and we will have word. What's the format for creating a table in SQLite? I don't actually know. Okay, let me pull up Qt browser. SQLite create temp table. Create table, column 1, integer. Okay. Column A, integer, column B, integer. Okay, seems simple. And we can do create temporary table as well. Okay, so let's go back to our Emacs, and whoops, not that. Let's go back to Emacs and say create temporary table. It's so annoying to have Emacs and Emacs. I don't know which iteration of Emacs my commands are going to, and that's throwing me off here. Okay, now we're where we're supposed to be. So create temporary table, I think it was. Buff words, and we'll say word varchar 100. Because I don't think we're going to have any words that are longer than 100 characters. And then we will say do list. We'll say w and word list. And we'll say SQLite execute into the database. We'll say insert into buff words. What do we call it? Buff words. And how do you do? Man, I forget the syntax for this. Back to Qt browser one more time. Every iteration of SQL has a little bit of a different syntax, and I don't want to use format strings because I know that's frowned upon. So insert into SQLite database. Let's just look at Elisp. How do I open? How do I query? How do you perform SQL queries in Emacs Lisp? Okay, let's look at Stack Overflow. Okay, that's not what I want. So looking for ways to insert into the database. Insert data from files into SQLite database. Maybe the maybe Emacs itself has help related to that. So insert. No, not JSON. What am I looking at? JSON. look at database. And we'll say insert. If the optional values parameter is present, it should be either a list or a vector of values to bind while executing the statement. So SQLite execute db insert into foo values question mark question mark. Okay. So it's just question mark. That does okay. I think we can do that. So insert into buff words values question mark, and we will just say you. Is that the way it's supposed to be? I think that is what we want. I think that's what we want. And then we can say, we can do the select now. We can select from the database, and we can actually do the inner join. Sorry, I'm missing a bunch of messages here. If I recall correctly, SQLite doesn't care about the varchar length anyway, and you could use text type. Okay, let's try that. So word, we will say text. And backseat program. Hey, I appreciate the help. I am not a SQLite expert by any means. Do you want to restore from a SQLite table dump or other file type? I'm not sure I understand the question, Christian. So, okay, we're going to select star from dictionary, where we'll do this. We will, instead of doing where, we will do inner join with buff words on, what is it? Sorry, we'll do this as B. We'll do this as A. So those are just aliases for the tables. We'll say A.words, word equals B.word. And maybe now that'll work. Maybe that's what we want. Go back to the REPL. And we can do rare words, get word frequency. Let's try another word list. Try B, I, and fall. Number of arguments, SQLite execute. You can insert multiple rows in one statement in the long run with comma separated lists, i.e. insert into word values A, B. You'll have to show me, could you like send me the exact sort of syntax I should use to do that? And I'll give that a try. Let's see here. I still expect this to work for what we're doing right now. So I'm a little confused as to why it's not. It is saying wrong number of arguments in SQLite execute. Let me look at the documentation, DB statement, and values. So SQLite execute, DB statement, and values. So here are the values. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying just build it out as one long string. Is that what you're saying, Christian? Instead of doing it one word at a time. Isn't there like a way, like whenever you do these inserts, like keep them in memory until like you commit or something? Isn't there like a way to do like commit? SQLite transaction, start transaction in DB. When in a transaction, other readers of the database won't access the result until the transaction has been committed. End a transaction in DB and write the data out to its file. Yeah, I don't know if we need SQLite, but I guess this temporary table is just going to be in memory anyway, so I'm not sure. Like, Actually, I don't know that it'll just be in memory. I'm kind of just guessing, but okay. Let's see if it we can get it to work. Why does it say it's the wrong number of arguments? Oh, maybe no. This is fine, right? SQLite execute. Which one is wrong? Oh, I see. I didn't put the DB here. Okay. Database error, invalid argument. I am getting very confused as to why this isn't working. I see. Don't worry about this at first. Your execute statement is one values tuple with a question mark. That's safe and fine for user input, especially. Yeah, I think let's get it to run and then we can optimize. And I'll be happy. Yeah, I'll be happy to. I'm happy to learn something because I am definitely not an expert at this. It's just an idea I've had since. I mean, I sort of told the story in the first stream where like Grammarly tells me that my the number of rare words I use is far below like the average. And I just don't understand how that can be. And it's very enigmatic to me how they're determining that, what their rare word list is. They don't really tell you anything. So I just kind of wanted to make this for that purpose. I don't consider myself an expert on these things, but I think I can at least get this to work. And yeah, I would be happy to. Maybe we can have like an optimization stream afterwards, where you can help me out and we can fine tune this thing before submitting it to MELPA. I think we're probably gonna have to break this into at least one or two other streams because it's getting pretty late out here. So I think once I get this function working, I will probably end the stream and go to bed because it's 1:15 and I need to work in the morning. Um, but let's get this to work. I do want to get this to work. I do wish these like errors were a little bit more informative because it's like database error, invalid argument. What is the error? Oh, I don't want this. I see. I want this. Whoops. There we go. Okay, very good. I am not entirely sure. I just want, instead of saying select star, we'll just select a dot star. So we don't really need the second copy of the word, right? So we can just do a dot star, and there we go. We have what we want, and that's good, right? Like I think this is a good spot to stop. We've got Emacs now querying the SQLite database, and it is actually able to get the rankings of the word. So yeah, I think this is we've made some progress. I think there's still progress to be made, but after this, I think we can just go directly to the buffer. And tomorrow or next time I stream, we will look at the buffer and just search for one word at a time. If it's a rare word or semi-common word, we'll put an overlay on it. And for everything else, we'll simply ignore. And I think that's all that's really left to do. And maybe, I don't expect that to take the whole time the next time we stream. But again, I expected to have this whole thing completed today. So maybe I'm not the best judge of how long these things will take. But I'm hoping that if we have some more time next time, I can take anyone who's watching, I can take you guys' suggestions and kind of optimize this because, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know a whole lot about optimization on SQL queries. My work basically involves running something that runs and then manipulating the data. So as far as optimization goes, for the most part, I don't care. The DBAs probably aren't thrilled with me about that, but it gets me by. So Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being here, Christian, Glenneth. I really appreciate y'all staying with me, and Christian, I appreciate your help. I will try to stream again tomorrow. It's going to be hard to do every day on over the week, but um, I do want to get this finished before Friday because Friday I leave for vacation on Thanksgiving, and I'd like to get this submitted to MELPA before then. So I will try to do my best to see you guys tomorrow, if not day after tomorrow. But once again, thanks, guys, and I will catch you on the next stream.